I'm Nathan Ponchard, this is Chasing Cars, and Subaru sprung a surprise today at the new BRZ launch in Australia with an appearance by the WRX sedan and WRX Sportswagon. Now, in Australia, the Sportswagon will not be called Levorg, it is definitely a WRX. Being shown here by Subaru's Managing Director Blair Reid and former rally star Cody Crocker in the background there with the WRX Sportswagon. Now, I think seeing the WRX in the flesh puts into perspective just how well filled out this car actually looks. It has a lot better proportion, I think, than the car that it replaces, and it certainly looks better with the cladding down the side in the flesh than it does in pictures, though as you can see in the distance, the WRX Sportswagon does not have any cladding. So if that's something you don't like, then maybe you go for the wagon. Now, under the bonnet of the sedan is the 2.4 litre FA24 direct injection 202 kilowatt engine, although they didn't specify outputs. As you can see down the side here, it has 18-inch wheels with that cladding on it and those really quite deep side skirts. You'll notice too it has really prominent rear haunches, which gives it a really good stance, certainly much more dynamic than the car it replaces, particularly having just a little lip spoiler on the boot there rather than an excessive wing. Also gives it a little bit of extra class, although there is a lot of plastic going on here. So interesting to hear what you guys think about that stuff. There's a lot of plastic there in the rear garnish as well. 4 pipes on this sedan. It also has a rear fog light on this car. Subaru did point out that these 2 vehicles arrived last week. They're the first 2 in Australia, and they are not necessarily to production spec. So some things are different. A close-up on those lights will reveal that they almost look like cut glass. There's a lot of little extra detail elements in them that make them look quite jazzy. Down the side there again, you can see those haunches and the wheel arch cladding, whereas the wagon, very clean. A lot more interesting, I think, than the previous Levorg. This is still called Levorg in Japan, whereas ours is called WRX Sportswagon. It has a TS badge on the back of this car. That is not confirmed whether that's going to make production or not, but it also has the Foresters-inspired crab claw tail lights, although I think they're a lot classier on this model. The top spec of the Japanese car is actually a 2.4 turbo, just like ours, whereas all the ones in the lower spec cars are actually still 1.8 turbos. The wheels on this thing are 18s, but they're wearing Yokohama Blue Earth tyres. Even though they're W rated, they don't sound very sporty. The ones on the sedan are Dunlop SP Sport Max asymmetric tyres, so a bit more sporty. In the interior, they are actually the same. They both have this leather and Alcantara mix. Well, certainly the 2 cars we have here. The wagon is a CVT. The sedan here is a 6-speed manual. Noting too that in the inside, it does have the 11.6-inch touchscreen like the Japanese model, but it doesn't have the digital instrument pack. This just has analog dials in a traditional fashion, like those new air vents. They're really cool. Very similar door trims to before, but just a sort of a lift in trim quality to make it even with where the Outback and the Forester have moved that to. At the front, the WRX Sportswagon is again a little bit more toned down the sedan, very similar. It actually is the same spec as the Japanese STI Sport R and STI Sport REX, which are both the 2.4 turbo. The 6 models below that are all still a 1.8 turbo. Our WRX sedan is obviously also 2.4 turbo in Japanese trim. These cars have 202 kilowatts and 375 newton meters, although the US car only has 350 newton meters, and that's from 2400 to 5200 RPM. So a very broad span there. And the new BRZ in the background. If you haven't subscribed, please do so below the video, hit the notification bell and leave a comment on the new generation Subaru WRX or on Chasing Cars. Thanks for watching.